As we navigate the blood-stained pages of history, we'll encounter rulers whose names struck terror into the hearts of their subjects, leaving an indelible mark on the civilizations they govern. From the battlefield to the throne room, these ancient leaders reshaped the course of history through sheer force and a relentless pursuit of power. Also known as Ramses the Great, Ramses II is often celebrated for his military prowess and monumental building projects, making him one of the greatest pharaohs of this ancient land. Particularly known for the Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites, while the battle ended in a stalemate, Ramses skillfully used propaganda to depict it as a glorious victory on the walls of temples throughout Egypt. Military success in the ancient world often involved a level of brutality, and Ramses was no exception. After the Battle of Kadesh, he negotiated one of the earliest known peace treaties with the Hittites. However, in other military campaigns, Ramses was known to be ruthless in dealing with enemies. The inscriptions on his monuments proudly detail the capture and subjugation of foreign peoples, emphasizing the king's strength and the divine favor he enjoyed. Additionally, Ramses II's ambitious building projects, including the construction of the grandiose temples of Abu Simbel, the Ramesseum, and the extensive additions to the Karnak complex, required an immense amount of labor. Many believe that the workforce involved in these projects consisted of forced labor, possibly prisoners of war and conscripted laborers. The harsh conditions and labor demands imposed on the workforce were brutal, reflecting the authoritarian nature of ancient Egyptian society. The Carthaginian military commander who famously led his forces, including war elephants, across the Alps during the Second Punic War, Hannibal Barca is regarded as one of the most brilliant tacticians in history. His reputation for brutality is often associated with the Battle of Cannae in 216 BCE, where his forces achieved a devastating victory over the Roman army. The tactics employed by Hannibal during this battle were not only strategic, but also resulted in one of the bloodiest massacres in ancient warfare. Employing a double envelopment maneuver, Hannibal encircled the Roman forces, leading to the death of an estimated 50,000 to 70,000 Roman soldiers. The sheer scale of the carnage at Cannae has contributed to Hannibal's reputation as a formidable and brutal military leader. Furthermore, Hannibal's use of psychological warfare and unconventional tactics added to his image as a leader who understood the importance of instilling fear in his enemies. The strategic brilliance of his surprise attacks and the psychological impact of his victories, such as the ambush at Lake Trasimene, showcased a commander willing to use any means necessary to achieve his objectives. His legacy is a complex interplay of strategic brilliance and brutal tactics, supported by the cruel nature of ancient warfare itself. The sixth king of the first Babylonian dynasty, Hammurabi, ruled ancient Mesopotamia from 1792 to 1750 BCE, and is renowned for the Codex Hammurabi, one of the earliest and most comprehensive written legal codes in history. Hammurabi's legal code, carved onto a stele and prominently displayed for public viewing, sought to establish justice and maintain order in his kingdom. The code consisted of 282 laws, addressing various aspects of daily life, commerce, and social interactions. Punishments prescribed by the code were often severe, reflecting the harsh societal norms of ancient Mesopotamia. One aspect of Hammurabi's code that might be considered brutal by modern standards is the principle of lex talionis, or an eye for an eye. This concept mandated that the punishment for a crime should mirror the nature of the offense, often resulting in physical retribution. While the code aimed to provide a structured legal framework, the severity of punishments, including mutilation and death, indicates a reliance on harsh and sometimes brutal measures to maintain order. Hammurabi's military campaigns also contributed to the perception of him as a ruthless leader. In his efforts to expand the Babylonian Empire, Hammurabi engaged in military conquest that involved the subjugation and sometimes harsh treatment of conquered peoples. The inscriptions on the stele recount his military successes and assert his divine mandate to rule, underscoring the connection between military might and authority. The ancient world, marked by frequent conflicts and power struggles, often necessitated forceful measures to ensure the survival and dominance of a kingdom. Before we continue, please note that 99% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy our videos, please consider subscribing, as this motivates us to create new videos while we continue to explore history together. Nero, the fifth Roman emperor who ruled from 54 to 68 CE, is often remembered for his erratic behavior, extravagant excesses, and a reign marked by acts of brutality. One of Nero's most infamous acts was his alleged role in the Great Fire of Rome in 64 CE. While it is debated whether he purposefully instigated the fire, Nero's response to the disaster is telling. Rather than focusing on relief efforts, he used the opportunity to implement ambitious architectural projects, including the construction of his opulent Domus Aurea. This callous disregard for the suffering of the Roman populace served as a reminder of the brutality of this young emperor. Nero's persecution of Christians is another dark chapter in his reign. Blaming Christians for the fire, Nero subjected them to horrific acts of cruelty. Historical accounts describe Christians being covered in animal skins and torn apart by dogs, burned alive as human torches in Nero's gardens, or crucified. These brutal measures were aimed at suppressing what Nero perceived as a threat to his rule. The emperor's personal life was marked by a series of increasingly ruthless actions. Nero executed his own mother, Agrippina the Younger, and reportedly murdered his first wife, Octavia. The political purges that followed included the elimination of perceived threats of Nero's power, further solidifying his reputation for cruelty. Born in the early 5th century, Attila rose to power as the king of the Huns and established himself as a formidable force in the heart of Europe. His reign, which spanned from 434 to 453 AD, left an indelible mark on the pages of history, marked by relentless military campaigns, brutal tactics, and a reputation that struck terror into the hearts of his contemporaries. Attila's rise to power was marked by his ability to unite disparate Hunnic tribes under a single banner. His leadership style was characterized by an iron-fisted rule, maintaining strict discipline among his warriors. At the height of his power, Attila controlled the vast empire that stretched from the Danube to the Volga. What set Attila apart was his unrelenting military prowess and his ruthless approach to conquest. He led his warriors in a series of devastating campaigns across Europe, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. The Huns, under Attila's command, were notorious for their lightning-fast cavalry attacks and their ability to strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. Attila's forces were particularly successful in sacking and pillaging Roman territories. One of the most infamous incidents in Attila's reign was the sacking of the Roman city of Aquileia in 452 AD. The Huns laid waste to the once thriving city, leaving nothing but ruins in their wake. Attila's reputation as a merciless and bloodthirsty leader only grew as he continued his campaigns, extracting tribute and concessions from various European powers. Attila's brutality extended beyond the battlefield. His court was a place of intrigue and fear, with political adversaries and rivals meeting gruesome fates. The leader himself was known for his unpredictability, often resorting to violence to maintain control over his own followers. From ruthless conquerors to merciless tyrants, we've unearthed the chilling tales of the most brutal leaders the ancient world has ever known. But it doesn't end here. There are countless other leaders whose reign was marked by brutality and oppression. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss part 2.